Hey guys, it's Andy here, and yes, the festive season has begun. Cue that one house that always goes slightly overboard with the Christmas lights. Beautiful. Also, I just realised that this backdrop isn't particularly festive, so there is a pine cone. Right. So I did some brainstorming and came up with a few cool ideas for like DIY Christmas decorations. Pretty awesome. So here's 3 simple DIY Christmas decoration ideas. Hope you enjoy. So first of all, let's make some of these cool retro gaming decorations. To make these, I used hammer beads, which are commonly known as perler beads, and they're pretty good for making these kind of pixel-based creations. In order to create the designs, you'll need the right coloured beads, a pegboard, and also some ironing paper. I began by printing off this simple sprite sheet of a Mario star. Then I placed the beads onto the pegboard as shown on the sprite, each pixel equating to 1 bead. Pretty simple. There we go. Once the design was on the board, I placed the ironing paper over the design and turned the iron to about 3/4 of the way full. I then carefully ironed in circles over the design. I'd say do this for about 10 to 15 seconds and apply a little force to the iron so you can see the beads melting together. Don't press too hard though, or it'll squash too much. Once that was done, I carefully pulled the paper away from the board. The design should stick nicely to the paper. I then folded the paper and ironed the other side. After letting it cool down for a few minutes, the star was complete. I then added some string so I could hang it from the tree. I also came up with a few extra designs. Pretty cool. Now, let's do some glass etching. For this, you'll need some glass etching cream from a craft store or online. You'll need some stencils. I'm using some of these pre-made Christmas glass etching stencils. You can always create your own, but it can be quite fiddly. Also, you'll obviously need a glass. I began by peeling off the back of the stencil, leaving the layer of sticky tape on the front. I then transferred this to the glass, firmly pressing down on the stencil, and then pulled off the layer of tape, leaving the stencil stuck to the glass. Once the stencil was in place, I used masking tape to tape around the edges of the stencil, like so. Then, using some safety gloves and a brush, I covered the design with the etching cream. The trick is to completely cover the design with the etching cream, so you basically can't tell what it is anymore. That should be enough. As it's quite a thick glass, I left the etching cream for about 15 minutes. For thinner glasses, it should take about 5 to maybe 10 minutes for the etching cream to work. Once the time was up, I washed away the etching cream under the tap and then peeled off the stencil. I was left with some nice results. Awesome. Now, for my final idea, I made one of these customised baubles. For this, I purchased some of these glass baubles where you can remove the top, allowing you to get inside. I'm also using some of this silk clay, which kind of slightly feels like silly putty. I started by rolling up a clump of clay and squashing it to the bottom of the bauble using a blunt end of a pencil. I added enough clay to fill around nearly a quarter of the bauble. I also used the pencil to sculpt the clay so it looks more snowy. I then added some white glitter to add to the effect. Then, using a paperclip and some small beads, I made this mini snowman with the clay. I dropped him in and carefully manoeuvred him into place where he could be squished down. There we go. I then added a few chopped up branches from a tree and managed to fit in this fake Christmas tree branch. All that was needed was to add the lid back onto the bauble, and then it was done. Looks pretty nice. So there we have it. 3 simple DIY Christmas decoration ideas. Now, before I go, I'd just like to let you know that I now have an Instagram. Yay! So, if you wish to follow me on Instagram, there is the username thingamabob, and also I will leave a link below. Other than that, I will see you next time.